Plaintiff Joseph Harris Jr. says when he moved in with the defendant, he had no idea it would be like an episode of The Real World. Joseph claims the defendant and his boyfriend argued constantly and had huge blowout fights 3 to 4 times a week. Joseph is suing for moving costs and emotional distress. Defendant Frank Ray says Joseph had multiple girlfriends during the time they lived together, and he often heard Joseph having loud sex with these women. Frank denies owing Joseph.
Tell me what's going on.
Well, sir, I met Frank originally. I thought of him to be a pretty decent guy.
Where'd you all meet? How?
He had an ad on Craigslist for a room for rent. When I met Frank, my initial impression of him was that he was a pretty good guy. But little did I know I was moving into, a real world setting. I'd say him and his significant other were very argumentative all the time, a lot of erratic behavior. I can remember an instance where I had just met my girlfriend. I was bringing her to the house. Upon walking into the house, we heard loud yelling and, bickering, arguing. She thought it was the TV. Turned out it was them two. And on top
How often did things like that happen?
3-4 times a week.
Okay, and how long did you stay there?
5-6 months.
6
All
and a
right.
half months.
Well, you just nosy?
No, I wasn't nosy.
Yes, you
It was
were.
So
just in
why
my
didn't you
face.
leave? Somebody doing this 3-4 times a week, they're yelling and arguing and it's bothering you. Either you're listening or you're leaving.
Well, as far as I was concerned, I liked the house. I wasn't in their business.
But it was disruptive to you, is that what you're
Correct.
saying? All right. All right, sir, you want to give me some background and we'll get to the specifics of the moving expenses and emotional distress.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, George. Just want to give you a background of myself a little bit here. I'm American French Canadian, moved here around 20 years ago, and been watching TV all the time. And then I watched different shows. Judges, I felt that you're being very humor and stern and fair because you told one of your people that they were in court. You've been lying and changing your words. I love that because I don't lie. I hate people lying to me, and I give myself away if I lie.
That's not true at all.
And then
And I don't come down on you like Judy, do I?
Judy who?
There you go. You know what to say.
Watch different shows, judges. I felt that you're being very humor and stern, and I hate people lying to me, and I give myself away if I lie.
That's not true at all.
And then
And I don't come down on you like Judy.
Judy who?
There you go. You know what to say.
Plaintiff Joseph Harris Jr. rented a house with the defendant, who claims he often heard Joseph having loud sex.
What was it like living with the plaintiff? You wanted to say something also.
Here's
Stand up.
Mark, my
All
friend,
right.
my partner.
State your name.
My name is Mark Hicks. I was living with Francois Ray. Sure, we always argued. That's near here nor there. But
I
okay.
don't know, a few times
Not
a week?
always. The way we both talk, it's loud. So I might have said, hey.
No, he said argue.
We do argue. I'll admit it.
I'm trying to clean it up, Francois.
If he said,
Go ahead.
But it was a nightmare him living with us. Your
Why?
Honor, it was a nightmare living with him.
What was he
okay,
doing?
he was two-faced. He would treat him nice and just constantly give me dirty looks. I couldn't even say hi to the guy without him going,
It's because you're a weirdo. That's
well,
why.
so what?
Yeah,
Okay.
what's weird about him for him to cause you to give him dirty looks? What's so weird about him?
He was just weird, like in the way that he would approach me about things.
Like what? Give me an example of him being weird.
Well,
Because some could say you're weird.
no, I'm not weird.
Well, some could believe that.
Probably could say
Well,
that.
how about
but-
this? I think you're weird.
All right. You're
You
entitled to
think
your
he's
opinion.
weird, I think you're weird.
All right.
And since you can't tell me why you think he's weird, I can't tell
I
you
can
why
tell
I
you.
think you're weird.
An example of him being weird would be Frank had an issue with the electricity bill. I guess it was high. So Frank being the landlord, I rented the room from Frank. But Mark would take it upon himself to come to me and say, hey, we really want to stay here, so, if you could just, turn off the TV when you leave and turn off the lights when you leave a room. And I felt like, you know, I'm an adult. I pay my rent. I'm paying for everything I'm using.
The light
Pay the
bill.
electric bill.
That was included in my rent.
Okay.
So I'm paying for what I'm using.
All right.
He's not the landlord.
But let me tell you something. There's nothing unusual for his mate to say to you, hey, could you turn these lights off and those lights off? They've been on a little too long because we're all in this together and we should try and save money. Sure. You're weird. Now, let's get back to you. Yes, sir.
The first time that he brought Rachel in, this lady here, this is his fourth or fifth girlfriend since he moved in there.
He can't help because he's a player.
Also, I wasn't expecting.
What can I say?
Judge, I wasn't expecting when I rented the room to him that I would hear loud sex through the walls. His neighboring roommate was telling me constantly.
I
said I will talk to him later on, but anyway.
Very good. No, that's enough, sir. I'm going to get to him. It's his lawsuit. Moving expenses, how does he owe you for that?
Well, he defaulted on the lease that we had in March of 2012. I came home from school. When I came home, Mark was downstairs moving furniture. From the looks of it, half of the house was completely gone. First thing he said to me was talk to Frank. So I went, told Frank, hey, what's up? What's going on? Because when I left that morning, everything was intact.
Right, and what did Frank tell you?
He said, well, I have to be out by tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just trying to get all my stuff out.
So he gave you 1 day notice?
Yes. I figured I paid rent there. I had a lease agreement. So
you
I didn't feel
right.
like that returned to me.
What are your expenses you're suing for?
Well, my expenses would be the cost that I incurred as a result of being locked out of the residence.
You have a list of some sort? Sir, you tell me about this. He said that you had him move out with 1 day notice.
Yes, because I wasn't expecting to what it happened that day. Because I was working through with other my attorneys to take care of it, to do the loan modification, everything else, and back finally refused and said, "This is it. You have to leave by tomorrow at this time." So I've been so kind and nice, and I told him, "Don't worry about anything, Joe, because I will take care of you. We're gonna go stay in a hotel. I'm gonna supply a hotel room
2 days.
for you. You can stay there."
Did you tell him you'd pay? Did you tell him you'd pay until you put him back in the same position he was before your mistake?
No. Because I told him I'll give you all the month rent, even though you stayed here.
Huh?
Your Honor.
No, sir. Have a seat. Have a
I
seat.
didn't get the
Have a
question.
seat. Have a seat. That's enough. Go ahead.
But I wasn't expecting to leave out like that either, or anybody else in the house with us.
You knew that you were working with the loan modification people. As you say, you had your lawyers on it. You knew there was a risk that you were going to be put out because if it didn't work, that's the result. And it didn't work.
Plaintiff Joseph Harris Jr. rented a house with the defendant, who claims he often heard Joseph having loud sex.
You caused him to be evicted March 15th.
Yes.
And March 17th, he had to put $500 down for living expenses with his girlfriend. Now, what's this food and clothing you want? What does that have to do with anything?
Because when I got locked out of the house, all of my clothes, all of my food, everything I had was inside the house.
And you were never able to get back in?
It was for 3 days. I had to work.
Okay, so you're right for those days that you could not dress.
Right.
I
had to work.
I did tell
All right,
you.
you have your receipt for the things you bought? The 2 outfits, because you got in on the 3rd day.
It's gonna be.
I believe you wore the same nasty stuff for 3 days. That's what I believe.
Never that.
Now, emotional distress. That speaks for itself, sir. You certainly experienced a lot of emotional distress, getting put out the same day. The rent for a new apartment, yes, and the deposit for a new apartment, yes. Sir, basically, you had him illegally evicted. He was your tenant. You did not inform him with the appropriate notice, 30 days. All right? $2,500 for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
Well, I just want to tell him good luck after I've done for him, for his kids. That's fine. Karma will come back to him. That's all.
He should just kicked him out back when he gave him the first notice in December.
Still weirdos in my book, both of y'all.
All right.